Hi, everyone, and welcome. I'm Tami, the creator of the blog and this YouTube channel called Nutmeg Notebook. And this is where we share with you all about our whole food, plant-based lifestyle. And this is...
Hello, everybody. I'm Tom with Nutmeg Notebook.
And I was on the wrong camera.
She was talking to Glenn, our guest today, but he's going to join us in just a moment. So I will be monitoring the chat feed, as well as our moderators will be joining us in the chat feed too, answering questions and giving me a nudge when I'm missing a question. So feel free to ask us a question as we go through today's interview, and I will relay that on to Tami and to Glenn. So if you just give me 4 question marks at the front of the question, so it kind of jumps out at me. And Jesse, Randy, and Tiffany will be joining us to take questions within the chat feed and take care of any pesky trolls that may come along. I just would like to point out that this week there are fresh flowers over there, Tiffany. And we were delinquent with that last week, but the ones we had died unexpectedly. Might have had something to do with climate change. I don't know.
My goodness.
So
Probably.
Anyway, so with that, I'm going to give Tami the camera, and I'll join you in just a bit.
Great. Thank you, Tom. So Glen Merzer is our guest today. He is the author of Food is Climate and Own Your Health with recipes by Chef AJ. And I do have some recipes in that book. He's the co-author of The Secrets to Ultimate Weight Loss and Unprocessed, both with Chef AJ, the co-author of Mad Cowboy and No More Bowl by Howard Lyman, and a number of other books advocating for a plant-based diet. You know, in the last few years, we've had record-breaking heat across the planet. Even the Arctic has seen temperatures that most of us cannot tolerate without air conditioning. Wildfires have ravaged California, the Pacific Northwest, British Columbia, and Austria. And it was so hot and smoky here today because of the Northern California fires that we weren't even able to go outside and do our normal 4-mile walk. And the airplanes have been flying over us all day today with water that they're taking up to the orange stuff, to take up to the fires. For decades, we have been warned by the climate scientists of the danger of global warming and informed of the best solutions by environmentalists and activists. We have been consistently told that we need to become more energy efficient, to move to electric vehicles, and to generate clean, renewable energy to meet our needs. But what if the cause of climate change has been effectively hidden from the public view? That is the strong case that is made in Food is Climate. It is the compelling new book by our guest, Glen Merzer. I highly recommend that you get this book, read this book, buy copies to give to all of your friends, and also know that some of my recipes are in it, as well as many of my plant-based friends. So with that, I want you to welcome my friend, Glen Merzer.
Hi, Tami.
Hello, Glenn.
Tami and
Hi.
Tami, great to be with you.
Thank you so much. And how is your beautiful wife, Joanna? I'm disappointed that we're not seeing her today.
She's still beautiful. Thank you.
That's great. Well, please tell her that I said hi. And I really enjoyed the last time.
And let me make some history now, some vegan history, because when Joanna and I were on your show in February, you suggested that we start a YouTube channel.
Yes.
And I was thinking about it, but I had to write this book first. So I wrote this book, Food is Climate, but I'm going to start a YouTube channel probably November.
Oh, I'm so excited. That is great. Yay. And we will, when you do, let me know, and we will tell our viewers so that they can follow you as well.
Thank you.
That would be awesome. So Glen, I have some questions for you. I know that you morphed from being a shy vegetarian who didn't even want to talk to anybody about your lifestyle choices to someone who's now on a mission to turn the whole world vegan. How does that happen?
Yeah, it has been quite a change. What happened was I grew up in a family with a lot of heart disease in the family. And when I was 17, my mother's 2 brothers, my 2 uncles died of heart attacks. One was in his 40s, one was in his 50s. My mother had already developed heart disease, and she would walk up 6 steps and grab her heart. And she wasn't very overweight. And on my father's side, I didn't know my grandparents. They had died before I was born, and most of the men died in their 50s. So I was looking at being middle-aged at 25. And I didn't want to be middle-aged at 25, so I just decided I would stop eating meat. I'm not sure really where I learned that meat causes heart attacks, but it seemed pretty obvious to me. I remember hearing the Dick Gregory, the comedian, talking about vegetarianism. So I decided I would start on the first day of summer vacation after my junior year in high school. So that morning I got up, I made for myself an English muffin with jam for breakfast. And the phone rang, it was my old buddy Dave. And I said, "Congratulate me, Dave, I became a vegetarian." And he said, "That's great, since when?" And I said, "Since breakfast." And he laughed at me. And I think it's a good thing that he laughed at me, because I haven't had meat in 48 years since then, So the next person I told was my mother. And I said, "Mom, I decided to become a vegetarian." And she said, "What took you so long to figure that out?" And I said, "What do you mean, what took me so long?" She said, "Well, I was planning to raise you as a vegetarian from birth." I said, "How did that happen?" She said, "Well, I always thought that I should raise you as a vegetarian, but then the doctor talked me out of it. He said that your bones wouldn't be strong and your brain wouldn't be strong, and he scared me. He told me not to do it, so I didn't do it." And I said, "But Mom, you're not a vegetarian. Dad isn't a vegetarian. My sister is not a vegetarian. Why were you going to raise me as a vegetarian?" And she said, "Because, Glenn, when I was pregnant with you, you felt like a vegetarian." So I have no idea why I was destined to be a vegetarian, but apparently I was, and I was doing it just for my own health, and I didn't really talk about it much. I wasn't interested in what other people ate. I was just interested in not developing heart disease. So I was a very quiet, shy vegetarian. And what I wanted to do was be a playwright. I wrote plays, I wrote comedies. And I finally got what felt like a big break. And it was, I was in my early 30s. I wrote a comedy about a group of vegetarians in a household. It got done in Philadelphia. It was directed by Bill Macy, W.H. Macy, before anyone knew who W.H. Macy was. I got an article, I got contacted by the Philadelphia Inquirer that they wanted to do an article about me. I thought, well, this is great. This could be a big breakout. Get a lot of publicity for my play. More people will come see my play. So the journalist invites me to a steakhouse in Philadelphia. So I meet him there and I order a salad. And he said, "Just a salad, no steak?" I said, "No, I'm a vegetarian." And he said, "Oh, I'm sorry. Do you mind if I said, "No, go ahead, enjoy yourself." And he writes an article in the Philadelphia Inquirer. I don't think he mentioned my play. He wrote a whole article about what a nice guy I am because I don't mind that he's eating steak and I'm a vegetarian and I'm not one of those judgmental, moralistic vegetarians. I'm just, I was just doing it for my own health. So not that many people came to see the play, but I got several invitations to steakhouses off that. So then a year or two later, I started getting pains in my heart. And I was just crushed. The pains were like electric shocks. I wrote about it in my book, On Your Health. About a dozen times it happened to me. I would just be walking along, I'd suddenly get an electric shock in my heart. I still, to this day, I don't know what it was. And it would knock me to the floor and then it would go away in a minute. But it kept happening. And I thought maybe I should go to a cardiologist, but I was always scared of doctors. My father never liked doctors and I didn't like going to doctors. And I thought, well, let's see. I'm not eating meat, but I've been eating cheese all these years. And the reason I ate cheese is that when I went vegetarian, I had an aunt and uncle who were very worried for me. And they said, where are you going to get your protein? And I said, I'll get it from cheese. And so all those years I was eating cream cheese and cheddar cheese and mozzarella on pizzas. And I wasn't eating eggs, I wasn't drinking milk, but I was having cheese. So I thought, well, I'm not having meat because of the saturated fat and cholesterol. And what's cheese? Saturated fat and cholesterol. Cheese is liquid meat. So I was probably developing heart disease from the cheese. So I decided I'll cut out the cheese and go vegan. I was about 33 or 34, and I never had a pain since then. So being vegetarian isn't really good enough. You've got to go vegan. Got to get the dairy out of your diet. A year or two later, I met Howard Lyman. Howard is a fourth generation cattle rancher from Montana who has turned vegan, and he's an animal rights activist. And he pitched to me the idea of writing a movie about his life. And I mean, the story of his life is a great story. It's got a great arc to it, but I couldn't figure out how to turn it into a movie because in the third act climax, what am I going to do? Have him order stir-fried vegetables? You know, I needed more of a climax. So I said I didn't know how to do it. And then he said, well, how about a book? And I said, well, I could try. And together we wrote the book Mad Cowboy, which is about his transformation and also what happened to him on the land, because he had inherited an organic dairy farm and he had turned it into a modern feedlot operation. And in so doing, he had destroyed the land and using pesticides and using herbicides. And he had also put the cattle on cement in a feedlot and treated them with antibiotics. It was a modern feedlot operation, and it ultimately was not successful. And so from Howard, I learned more about what animal agriculture is doing to the land. And I began to feel this is an important story to tell because we have to protect the streams, we have to protect the air, and what we're doing to animals just isn't right. So we wrote Mad Cowboy, and that started me on this journey of caring more about converting people to veganism for their own health, for the animals, and for the environment. And since then, I've done a number of books, as you know, trying to make the case for the vegan diet. But when I learned about a fellow named Dr. Silas Rao, it was early this year, I learned that he had a paper claiming that 87% of greenhouse gases are caused by animal agriculture. Now, normally in the media, we hear 15%. So 87%, that seemed awfully high. Now, there was a paper by the World Watch Institute saying that it was 51%. So you had the UN saying it was about 15%, World Watch saying it was 51%, and Silas says it's 87%. So I contacted Silas. I tried to figure out where he came up with his numbers, and he explained them to me. And I think he's right. And so you have, with animal agriculture, so many ways in which it contributes to greenhouse gases. You have the cows belching methane. And methane, when it's immediately enters the atmosphere, it's 120 times as powerful as carbon dioxide. You have nitrous oxide that comes from the nitrogen fertilizer that they use to grow crops to feed cattle. Nitrous oxide is 300 times as powerful a greenhouse gas as carbon dioxide. And you have methane and nitrous oxide from the animal waste. You also have the pasture maintenance fires. when we raise cattle on grass, and some people think that's better than raising them in confined animal feeding operations, it may be better for the cattle. It isn't better for the environment. It's just as bad, maybe even worse for the climate. They set pasture maintenance fires annually, and these fires send carbon dioxide into the atmosphere and they degrade the soil. And then most importantly, you have what's called carbon opportunity cost. Because if we didn't use all the land that we use to raise cattle, we can rewild it. It could come back to forest often. And so what Silas did was he looked at how much carbon dioxide could we sequester if the grasslands, if even less than half of the grasslands, the grazing lands, returned to forest. And the answer was more than all the carbon dioxide that we're emitting from the burning of fossil fuels. So we can solve the problem just by ending animal grazing and just rewilding that land. That will solve the problem. And all of humanity is at stake. Civilization is at stake, and nobody's talking about this. So I want to tell your fans and followers and listeners, Tami, that they could make a contribution to changing the climate debate just by getting the book, arming themselves with the knowledge that's in the book, the arguments that are in the book, bringing this up to politicians and to the media when they interact and to friends, and just spreading the message. The way we save the world is getting the world to go vegan.
So the things that, we've been encouraged to do, using more clean energy, solar, wind, buying our energy efficient appliances, purchasing an electric vehicle. We've put in LED lights in our house. How much of an impact are those things doing?
They're all good things, but they're minor. They can't solve the problem that way. Again, they're positive things. I'm all for them, not against them. But when you try to attack the problem just with fossil fuels, and this is what the Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change, the IPCC, has been trying to do for 3 decades now. This is what Al Gore has been trying to do. This is what our leading climate spokesmen have been trying to do. They've been trying to say we have to stop burning so much fossil fuels. Well, how are you going to solve the problem that way? I'm not a climatologist, I'm not a scientist. And I'm sure most of your viewers are not climatologists. You're not a climatologist, but we can actually figure this out. Just like you don't have to be a doctor to figure out the larger points in nutrition, you don't have to be a climatologist to figure this out. Think about it. If when we burn fossil fuels, we're adding carbon dioxide and sometimes methane to the atmosphere. But it's a cumulative problem. We're adding more and more and more. So if we add a little less, we still have a cumulative problem. What we have to do is draw it down. We have to draw down carbon dioxide from the atmosphere. Now, wind turbines don't draw down carbon dioxide from the atmosphere. Solar panels don't draw it down. A more efficient refrigerator doesn't draw it down. A smart thermostat doesn't draw it down. You know what draws it down? Trees. Trees are the only thing that could save us. Trees and phytoplankton in the ocean. They draw it down. So what we need is 1 trillion more trees at least, and we need healthy oceans. That's the only way to solve the problem. So how do we get 1 trillion more trees on the earth? There used to be 6 trillion trees, and now there are 3 trillion trees. We've cut down half the trees. Some of that was to build our cities. But most of the reason for deforestation is animal agriculture. We raise the trees to create grasslands, And then we burn any trees that are growing back to make everything easy for the cows. And so we keep setting these pasture maintenance fires. We keep burning vegetation as it grows back. And right now we're chopping down the Amazon for what reason? They're chopping it down to graze cattle. And in some areas to grow soybeans to feed to the cattle. So if it wasn't for animal agriculture, the Amazon would be whole. It used to be the lungs of the earth. Now they say that the Amazon is actually emitting more carbon dioxide than it's taking in. Look at the cover of the book. Tami, if you hold that up, and you can see that those brown areas. You can see those brown areas. The Sahara Desert goes across to the deserts of the Middle East, goes across to the Thar Desert in northern India, and it goes across to the Gobi Desert in China. That's 6,000 miles of desert. Thank you, Tom. Okay. So that's 6,000 miles of mostly desert. Now, when we look at that, you look at that image, you're not surprised, right? You've seen that all your life. I've seen it all my life. It was only after I started talking with Silas Rao and read his paper that it dawned on me. Then the earth wasn't created that way. It wasn't created with forests all over the earth and a big strip of desert. And also you'll see a lot of red on that image. The red this is a NASA satellite image. The red are the pasture maintenance fires. And you see they often border on the desert. So why do we have 6,000 miles of desert? Well, we know that 10,000 years ago, that was all forested. The Sahara was forested. Those areas in the Middle East were forested. It used to be called the Fertile Crescent. In China, it was forested. So we didn't lose the forest 1 million years ago. We didn't lose it 500,000 years ago, or 100,000 years ago, or 50,000 years ago. We lost it in the last 10,000 years. So why did we lose it in the last 10,000 years? Well, what happened 10,000 years ago? Humans invented agriculture. And they started chopping down trees and bringing goats onto the land. And the goats ate all the vegetarian on the land, and they ate the roots underneath. And slowly but surely, over 10,000 years, that's what humans did to all that land. Now, if we do that to the rest of the earth, are we going to be able to grow food? Does anyone think we could live on a planet that looks like the Sahara? So that was done by agriculture. And we're doing it now. We're degrading the land in California. We have to get all the cattle off the land. Yes.
We got a question from Randy in the chat feed here. And this is, I think, sparked off the image in the book. Why so many fires in sub-Saharan Africa?
Well, again, pasture maintenance fires, and I guess there are a lot of small plots of land.
Okay.
Where, the farmers are setting pasture maintenance fires. It's a tradition that goes back thousands of years, and it's a horrible tradition.
And so, Glenn, are people over the past few decades increasingly eating more meat?
I think the answer is yes. Around the world, yes. I mean, in the United States, I think it's vegans have had an effect, and maybe it's plateaued or started to come down. But in China, people are eating more meat than they used to, and in many parts of the developing world, because the McDonald's go over to these countries, and the Western influence is pernicious. People want to be like Americans, but I don't know why they want to be overweight and sick and diabetic. So it's a terrible influence we're having on the world, and that's why we have a moral obligation to be the nation that goes vegan first. And
then the federal government subsidizes dairy and meat, and so the prices are, it's cheaper to go buy some of that than it is sometimes produce, because our produce farmers are not getting
Right.
subsidized.
And we
Can
have
you talk?
food deserts in the inner cities
Yes.
where people have a hard time finding the fruits and vegetables that will keep them healthy, but it's easy to find a McDonald's or a liquor store on the corner.
Right. If you can buy a whole meal for $2, even though there's little nutrition in it, and that's all you can get, that's what you're going to buy. Can you talk about the oceans and the problem that we're having with the oceans, Glenn, and what the oceans do for us and the part that they play in this?
Well, I'll bet you didn't know, Tammy, until you read the book, that whale poop can help protect our climate.
But you would be right about that. I had no idea.
And I didn't know until I researched it. But the whales are great friends of phytoplankton. You see, there's no discrimination over size. These giant whales are great friends with the microscopic phytoplankton. And the whale poop helps fertilize, brings nutrients to the phytoplankton. So it's very important for a healthy, robust phytoplankton population to have a healthy whale population. And the phytoplankton emit a chemical called dimethyl sulfide that rises in the atmosphere, bonds with water molecules in the atmosphere, and helps create clouds. The clouds reflect light and help cool the earth. When the oceans themselves are cooled, that also helps the phytoplankton. They like a cooler water temperature. And so it's a positive feedback loop. If we have more whales, we have more phytoplankton, we have more clouds, we have a cooler ocean. Unfortunately, things are going in the wrong direction. We still have some whaling operations. I think Japan has been doing that. And we have whales that get killed by lobster fishermen. Lobster fishermen set traps at the bottom of the ocean. The traps have ropes to buoys on the top, and whales get caught up in those ropes. The important thing about the oceans is that they're a real opportunity to heal the climate. And so I'm going to tell you now the key to healing the climate, which is we need as much as possible to leave the earth alone. Now, let me explain what I mean by that. Obviously, we live in cities, we live in suburbs, we have our roads and bridges. So we humans take up a good share of the earth, and we need to. We need our cities and our roads and our bridges and our buildings and our infrastructure. But the key to saving the climate is to let the earth heal. So we have to leave as much of the earth alone as we can. The oceans are 70% of the earth. Now, we need to have some ships in the ocean that transport goods across the ocean, but they're not doing so much damage. Sometimes they do hit a whale, and so they need to slow down sometimes. But for the most part, they're not doing most of the damage. Most of the damage to the oceans is being done by the industrial shipping operations. Industrial fishing operations that are extracting all life from the seas. They even, if everyone should see the movie Seaspiracy, extraordinary movie that shows that they actually trap dolphins in their fishing nets. Their fishing nets are a mile wide, and they don't eat dolphins, so they just slit their throats and throw them back into the ocean to die. Now, why do they do that if they're not eating it? The answer is the dolphins compete with them for the tuna. So if you can imagine that level of cruelty, that they're just killing all life in the sea. Well, if we just stop eating fish, we won't have industrial fishing operations. If we don't have industrial fishing operations, we'll be leaving the oceans alone for the most part. And if we leave the oceans alone, that's 70% of the earth that we could leave alone. And then if we don't eat meat, then we could leave the grazing lands alone. And the grazing land is 37% of the non-ice land surface of the earth. So if we leave the grazing land alone and we leave the oceans alone, we've left 80% of the earth alone. I mean, there'll still be some ships in the ocean, there'll still be some pleasure crafts, but for the most part, we'll be leaving 80% of the earth alone. The earth will heal. The phytoplankton populations will heal, the trees will come back, the carbon dioxide will be sequestered from the atmosphere. And that way, yes, we could still burn some fossil fuels. We could still ride in airplanes and heat and cool our homes. And again, the more we transition to renewable, the better, but we don't have solar airplanes yet. I don't know that we ever will. So it's only realistic that at least in the near term, we need to continue burning some fossil fuels. That's not going to go away tomorrow. We can't keep burying our head in the sand and thinking somehow we're gonna stop using fossil fuels tomorrow. It's not going to happen.
So if, and then reforestation, if we start planting more trees.
Right. We need 1 trillion trees. The good news is most of them will plant themselves. Yes, it will help to have what they call afforestation, a concerted effort to plant trees in different areas, particularly on marginal lands. But a lot of it will just come back by itself if we leave the earth alone, if we stop grazing, and the seed plants will come back too.
Got a question for you, Glenn, from Jesse. We've talked a little bit about the fossil fuel industry, and of course, your book has a lot to do with the animal industry affecting climate. What about the human population itself? How does the actual mass of people fit into the equation? She reads, Glenn, if or how human population fits into the climate and food equation.
Yeah, well, I mean,
what about our behavior?
It's clearly the case that at some point, we're like at 7.9 billion people now, I think it is. At some point, we will hit an unsustainable level of human beings on the planet. I don't know if we've hit that point yet, but clearly the problem of climate is easier to solve at 7.9 billion than it will be at 15 billion or 20 billion. So clearly that needs to be something that we pay attention to. But I think the more important thing to focus on now is to end animal agriculture and get all that methane out of the atmosphere that we've been emitting constantly with animal agriculture. And it's also the case that populations get stabilized when women have more rights. To the extent that that in developing countries we could raise the standard of living and women can have more rights, population may start to take care of itself. So there's hope there.
More questions, Tom?
No, education is then part of the answer on solving the human part of the equation. Mm-hmm. As for feeding them, if we return the percentage of land back to forestation, the remaining, I forget the exact percentage that your doctor friend talked about, is still more than enough land to grow food directly targeted for humans instead of going into a feeding chain into animals and then onto humans. So even if we reforest 2/3 of what's animal impacted land now, that remaining 1/3 would be more than enough to grow enough food for the human population.
Right. And then there's another 5%, I think, of the Earth's land surface that is used to grow crops for animals. So we have the grazing land, and then we have the land that's used to grow soybeans and corn and other things that we feed to animals.
Mhm.
Right.
If we didn't waste all that grain and food on animals that we eat, we could grow food there for ourselves. So we'll have more food. We don't eat animals, we'll have more food. There'll be less hunger. And it'll be the only way to save the climate.
Yeah. And reverse the situation we find ourselves in here in California with a drought,
Yeah.
you know, having to cut back on our water usage. And, you know, I mean, there's so many, it's a ripple effect. There's so many things that are affected. I have a question for you about the ocean again. How much damage do like the cruise lines cause to the ocean? I know we have pollution issues and that kind of thing as well.
You know, it's not my favorite industry, but I'm not going to take them on. I'm taking on animal agriculture today. So, you know, I would have I have a better feeling about those vegan cruises.
And we've been on one.
Yes.
And so that's why I'm asking. I'm you know, thinking like, did we contribute to harm to the ocean when we went on that? You know,
I'm not an expert on all the harm that the cruise industry may do, but
okay.
I'll say this, that the oceans are better off with a cruise ship than with the industrial fishing operation.
Okay, there you go. Doesn't mean they're good. They might just be less worse.
Yes.
Less worse. So for all of the individuals listening today that are disturbed by this information, if it's new information to them, you know, I know we talk a lot in the plant-based community about how it takes a grassroots effort to educate people, to get the information out there about how we eat and the impact that that has on our lifestyle. For Tom and I, we did adopt this lifestyle initially for health. And then our friend Linda Middlesworth, and you know, started educating us about the animals, which led us then to learn more about the environment and climate change and so forth. And once you know, you can't unknow that. So I suppose the same way that we are trying to provide a grassroots effort to get the information out for people to improve their health by a plant-based diet, we also need to be doing that now about the impact that we're having on our environment and the animals.
Yeah. And I really think that, you know, your show is very much about health and weight loss and cooking. This is the primary factor on health, being able to breathe. And so I hope that your viewers and listeners will want to learn more about this argument so that they can contribute to getting this argument, telling it to just tell your friends. You know, if people buy a copy of the book, read the book, tell your friends. When if you're ever meeting with a politician or a member of the media, tell them about it. Get this argument into the mainstream, because the mainstream media is not reporting what's in this book, that animal agriculture is the leading cause of climate change. So we have a climate emergency, and they're not telling us the truth. Now, I'm not saying that they're lying, because I think most of them don't know the truth. Yeah. But this is the reality. That vast desert of the Sahara stretching to China, that was not caused by coal-fired plants. It was not caused by gas-guzzling cars. Not that those are good things, but it was caused by agriculture. Mm-hmm. And this is what we're doing to the planet. This is what we have to wake up and realize that we can't do anymore. And so everybody can help by reading the book, learning the arguments, making the case, and getting it into the public debate.
That brings something to mind then. My car that I have been driving for a while is actually left over from my sales career, so it's aging a bit. And I've been actually not moving on, updating it because
And it's a hybrid.
and it's a hybrid. And so I really morally can't go backwards on that. But we are fans of the Subaru line of cars. And we were recently getting a battery fixed at a local Subaru dealer. And I was asking, a very kind agent that was there that wasn't too pushy to deal with. And my questions were, we like this new Ascent that's coming out. We've got grandkids. We need more space to put a bigger family in the car when we all want to go someplace. But, it's not in a hybrid. So I really can't buy a car right now because it's not hybrid. Or are they coming out with a hybrid? And I kind of took away that next year they may have a hybrid for that vehicle. So I'm waiting. But then the next conversation was, and what about the interior? Because we want to get a vehicle that does not involve the animal industry. Mm-hmm. And I know that there's a lot of faux leathers out there, but quite a number of cars still use real leather, I believe. And so we don't want a car that's full of, dead animal skins.
Right.
So it sounds like I can make a bigger impact on the climate by buying a not leather car
Yes.
than a hybrid, or at least they work in tandem.
Yeah.
So anyway, yeah, my car is going to be coming up. It's pushing almost 10 years old now and is in need of replacement. So so I'm waiting for a leather-free hybrid in the Subaru line.
I think what's kind of interesting is that we've come full circle, Glenn. So like you wrote the book, Own Your Health, and that was educating everyone about the proper diet for optimal health. And then that same diet also is the best diet for the earth. I mean, this isn't a mistake.
Exactly. I don't think it's a coincidence.
Right.
What's best for ourselves is best for the animals, is best for the streams and rivers, is best for the forests, and it's best for the climate. It's best for everything. So, we've been behaving in an unnatural way, and we've disturbed the whole web of life. And, I don't think there's anyone, as I wrote in the book, I don't think anybody with a harpoon ever thought that they were diminishing cloud cover, but they are.
Right.
So there's a kind of arrogance to human behavior. When we don't know enough, we disrupt the environment. It's what Rachel Carson wrote about in Silent Spring. People thought they were using herbicides just to help their lawns or to help their farms, and they didn't know they'd be killing birds. So there's a web of life. And what we have to do is respect that web of life and leave nature alone. We have a pandemic now. And think of all the suffering this pandemic has caused, all the people who have died around the world, all the economic impact of this pandemic. And why did it start? And we have two theories. One theory is that in a wet market in China, there were bats and pangolins, and one animal ate another, starting from a bat, and people were in contact with those bats or the animals that ate the bats, and they got it. The other theory is that it started in a lab because they brought bats into the lab to do experiments on viruses. Either way, if they left the bats alone, just think how much better off the world would be. Just leave the bats in the cave. Leave them alone. So if we leave the world alone, we're so much better off. We just need to leave nature alone. And that is the only solution to the climate crisis. And you know, Paul Hawken wrote a pretty fascinating book. He didn't write it, he edited it, called Drawdown. And it has something like 80 solutions to the climate crisis, but they're all about, almost all about fossil fuels. He does mention food, but he advocates something called a plant-rich diet, and he doesn't explain what that is. Doesn't say vegan, so somebody may have steak and a couple of vegetables and feel that that's plant-rich, you know. We don't need a so-called vague plant-rich diet. We need a vegan diet. We need to stop eating animals. And we need to say that that's what we're doing. And so almost all the solutions in Drawdown don't draw down carbon dioxide. They just limit the emissions of fossil fuels.
So you did write in the book, you talked about how like 100% of Americans don't have to adopt a vegan diet. There could be an impact with a smaller percentage. Can you talk a little bit about that to our audience?
Yes, because if 20 or 30 or 40% of Americans go vegan, animal agriculture will fold. They won't be able to get by if more and more people are going vegan. Their margins are slim enough as it is. So, and politicians may start to tell the truth if 20 or 30 or 40% of Americans go vegan. Right now, they're afraid to tell the truth if any of them know the truth. None of them are going to take on animal agriculture. So the people need to lead. If the people go vegan, if everybody out there listening now, if you're vegan already, great. Get a friend to go vegan. Give a friend this book. Buy the book, read it, give it to a friend. If you're not yet vegan, go vegan. If you're already vegan, get a friend to go vegan. And if enough people go vegan, then the politicians will start to learn. More politicians may go vegan. And those who are may not be afraid to talk about it anymore. And so that's our best hope.
Yeah, it's been interesting, you know, talking about the pandemic, that all the information that we get about, you know, making ourselves safer through the pandemic, there has been no talk about nutrition. There has been no talk about the food we eat and the impact that can have on how our body immune system can fight the COVID. That's been like, you know, such a huge missing piece.
Yeah, most people who are dying in the pandemic are overweight and diabetic, and they're eating this standard American diet. So, you know, one can fortify oneself against risk by eating correctly. And, you know, so, but you can't expect the Surgeon General to tell us that. He should, but he won't. A plant-based diet is a degree of protection against COVID.
Glenn, we actually do have on the show with us, Linda, our local vegan mentor. She's here with us today.
Linda is there.
Yes.
Hi, Linda.
And a couple of things. One thing we've noticed in there's been an uptick this last year, inquiries from our shows, emails we get, but mostly in the live interchange, that people are hearing the message about on the health side in performance. We get a lot of questions about what the plant-based diet does for personal performance, for strength, for vitality, for endurance. Tami gets a lot of questions about the beet juice that she drinks because it helps the vascular system. And so you were talking about the grassroots and moving up, but what's really appealing more to younger generations maybe isn't so much saving the planet, but it's making better versions of themselves through diet. And that will chisel away at the commercial demand for animal products, we already see the shift. It's small on the grocery store shelf of the fake meats. And Linda here with us knows that was, I went through my fake meat phase, that those were stepping stones to get me where I am today. It's been, a few years since I was eating anything like that regularly. But those products are, there's a lot of noise being made about those. They're on the news. So there is movement going in that area, and media, because it involves selling something, is putting that stuff on the news. They're
Plant
not
milks. Look at the popularity of
plant milks and how many varieties of plant milks there are on the grocery shelf.
And some dairies have closed. Some dairy farms have shut down because of the impact.
So I think our role in this mission, Tami's role in it, might be a little more effective than we kind of get, ourselves depressed about, because we are teaching how to have a fun, nutritious, tasty, and healthful diet, which is going to help people, be stronger and push that edge. I mean, we have all of this massive gymnasium industry around us. Linda has taught in the health clubs, yoga, and she also uses that as a place to do an awful lot of vegan evangelizing quite successfully there. So I don't know. I think where I can hang my head on some thread of hope is to keep driving that message of personal well-being through a plant-based diet, which is going to have the pleasant side effect of saving the planet.
Right.
So anyway,
I think too, you have to meet people where they're at. So if it's, if you're speaking to someone who's an athlete, then you talk about, how a vegan diet can help their athletic performance. If you're talking to someone who's a nature lover, then you can use the environment as an incentive to become vegan. If it's someone who has health issues, I mean, we have a large group of people in our area that are 70 and up who have adopted this lifestyle for health reasons because they've reversed their heart disease.
We have all these 80 plus very vital, high, very active friends. They make us feel so young. I'm inching closer and closer to 70, and you talk to people about, what statins are you taking or how many medications? I take nothing. I take absolutely no medicine. There's no need for any of it. So
they come into it for health reasons, but then once they get introduced to Linda Middlesworth, who's the president of our Sacramento Vegan Society, then they start to learn about animal advocacy and the environment. And, it's wonderful to see the transformation, and then they start wearing vegan t-shirts.
The vegan t-shirt. I've got to tell that story. A couple of years ago at a local vegan gathering, Linda gave me this t-shirt, and it's got this green V on it and a 2026.
I thought you might have worn that today.
And then I was watching your program with
Chef AJ.
Well, no, the book launch.
Oh, the book launch, yes.
And that symbol came up. That is Dr. Rao's organization. I went, oh, that's Dr. Rao's t-shirt that Linda gave me.
Yeah.
So anyway, I do wear that t-shirt, and people say, well, what's 2026 about? And I said, that's when it's too late. That's how much time we have left to turn it around. It's coming fast.
Yeah, Dr. Rao made a promise to his granddaughter, I think 5 years ago when she was 5 years old, when she realized that people have been eating her friends, the animals. He said that his job was to stop that, and he'll make it a vegan world in 10 years. And it was apparently a pinky promise. So now he made that promise, and I got to knock myself out getting the whole world vegan in the next 5 years.
I'm going to go check the chat.
Well, I think we're off to a good start. I mean, I think, you've given us a nice tool with this book to be able to do that. I think that, the information is disturbing, to look at all the statistics and to read everything. But sometimes that's just the kick in the seat of our pants that we need. We need to get disturbed and scared in order to be motivated to make a change. And so I want to thank you for writing this book.
And I want to thank you, Tami, because you contributed 5 delicious recipes to the book, as did Chef AJ and Brittany Giroudi and Dylan Holmes and Crocs in the Kitchen and a number of chefs from the Food for Life program. So there are recipes in the book as well. It is, what you and Tom were talking about, that some people you have to address through health reasons. Well, I've been making that case for a long time too, but it's all, the right solution is right for everything. It's right for health, it's right for the animals, it's right for the environment, it's right for the climate.
Yeah, absolutely.
Are you gonna taste those? What's going on?
Oh, I've already tasted them and these are delicious.
Oh.
So today I did make one of the
Here,
recipes. You want it over there? I made one of the recipes.
This is actually, Tiffany is here with us.
So Tiffany, I made your recipe today out of the book. It's on page 128. And these are the tofu chorizo stuffed jalapenos.
And they will wake you up nicely. They're a pleasant awakening.
And they are absolutely delicious. And so thank you for sharing that recipe. And you can serve these to your friends who follow the standard American diet, and they will absolutely love these. I think, I like that you did include recipes in here, Glenn, because I think when we give the book to someone who's following the standard American diet, then, if we don't arm them with some information about what to eat, they're going to say, well, if I gave up dairy and I gave up meat and chicken and fish, what's left? What will I eat? And so the recipes in here, there's such a nice variety of them that would give someone a good place to start.
Yes. Plus we have a bonus offer for more recipes. You want to tell your audience about that?
Yes.
Yeah, I'll bring that up on the screen here.
Tom is going to bring it up on the screen. So you guys, if you buy the book, you can buy it from wherever you want. It can be Amazon, your local bookstore, wherever you want to buy it. And then you will go to, you have it on there?
Yeah.
Okay, you tell them, Tom.
So in the blue area here, special bonus offer, send proof of purchase. That's your Amazon ticket. So we have our Amazon link right there above that.
Well, you've got Chef AJ's up there.
Oh, that's Chef AJ's page.
Instead of our page.
How about this page?
There you go. That's better.
Okay. Good catch, Tami.
Thank you.
Well, but the link is right there above it. So
yeah.
it's
So this is in the show notes right below the video that you're watching.
Yeah. So just put Tami Kramer in the subject line and you'll receive a bonus PDF file of over 25 healthy vegan recipes from over a dozen fabulous chefs. So
you're going to email foodisclimate@gmail.com, and in the subject line, you can put either my name, Tami, or Nutmeg Notebook, and then tell Glenn where you purchased it. You can put a copy of your
invoice. Say right now it's only available on Amazon.
It's only available on Amazon. Oh, thank you for letting me know
our
that.
link's right there at the top of the
So our link is right there for you to purchase it. And then you will get 25 bonus recipes that are not in the book. And so that's pretty exciting, because then you have a whole bunch of new recipes to try.
There are
And
more
you
than
need the book
60
so
in
that
the
you
book,
can.
so I think
How
it's
many in the book?
I think there's 64 in the book. So with the bonus, it's about 90.
Nice. That'll keep everybody busy for a while.
Yeah.
That's fantastic. Okay, any other questions for
No,
Glenn?
No, I think we're at an hour, aren't we?
We are.
Okay, let me just scroll up here and double
Tom's just
check.
going to double check. So what does a typical day of food look like for you, Glenn? What do you eat for breakfast, lunch, and dinner typically?
I tend to eat fruit at breakfast. I might have just a fruit salad, or I might have the fruits in a vegan yogurt, either made from soy or nuts. I always try to have just a little bit of the yogurt and more of the fruit. So a lot of fruits at breakfast. I eat fruits sometimes through the day. Lunch might be something like tempeh. I do eat bread, so I might have a tempeh sandwich or tempeh on a salad, or I might have oatmeal. And dinner, usually Joanna cooks dinner because she's the better cook in the family, and it's very often a macrobiotic style meal with root vegetables and rice, potatoes. Well, I guess potatoes aren't, sweet potatoes I think are macrobiotic, but we'll have all types of potatoes. Sometimes we have pastas with vegetables, just a lot of vegetables at dinner.
Sounds delicious. And I know Joanna is quite an accomplished whole food plant-based cook, so you're very fortunate.
Yes.
A quick clarification, Glenn. Yvonne is asking that she ordered the book a few minutes ago, and does the bonus still count? Absolutely. Whether you purchase the book through our Amazon link that is on our show notes right here, or whether you purchased it a week ago off of Chef AJ's site and missed the bonus offer, whatever invoice you have from whatever source you have, just email that to Glenn per the instruction in the show notes, and then you'll get the e-recipes sent out. So,
Of course.
so it doesn't matter when you bought it. It doesn't matter, it's only coming from Amazon right now from whatever link source you use, whether you use our link here or Chef AJ's from earlier in the week. So,
Even if you bought it
so yeah,
last
just
week.
email in your invoice, your copy of your Amazon invoice, and you're good to go.
That's right.
Excellent. All right. Scan that for any other questions. Do you have vegan restaurants near where you live?
There's one that isn't terribly good because they use oil.
Yeah.
Oil is always the problem. For me, giving up meat was not difficult at all. As soon as I had that English muffin when I was 17, I was done with meat. And giving up dairy was not difficult once I realized that I needed to do it for my own health. Oil is the tough one. Not that it's so tough at home. It's not hard to cook without oil. You can cook in vegetable broth or water. You don't need the oil. But it's tough with restaurants. It's very hard to go to a restaurant and say, please don't cook with oil. So they look at you funny.
Yeah.
So that's the hard part. But we haven't been going to restaurants since the pandemic anyway.
Right, right. We're very fortunate where we live because we have a large vegan population here that wants the oil-free. And so we do have a handful of restaurants that have created oil-free, plant-based menu options for us. And so, Linda's had a lot to do with that to get that rolling. So we feel very fortunate because we know that's not the case everywhere.
Jesse, one of our moderators, wants to give you a big thank you for writing the book and promoting the book and promoting the cause. So Jesse's one of our moderators, and I've got, I can't name all the names, but we have quite a number of comments on the feed here, thanking you for the work you're doing and allowing us vegans to have a tool to help share the wisdom and spread the word and hopefully save the planet. So anyway, many accolades coming to you from the chat feed.
Yeah. And you'll be able to, after, when we're done, Glenn, this will automatically be saved on YouTube. So you'll be able to go back through and you'll be able to read the comments.
Okay, I look forward to that.
Yeah, so that way, you and Joanna can do that and see what people had to say.
Okay.
So, and if we could only get you like on national TV,
Well,
wouldn't that be awesome?
I would
Put
like
him on
to.
the Dr. Oz show and see what happens. Maybe-
Anywhere.
Maybe Joel Furman can get you on the Oz show. I don't know. So although the last time we saw Dr. Furman on the Oz show, it didn't go that great because Furman tried to call him on why he wasn't vegan, knowing what he knows, and he didn't answer him. It was really awkward. It was a weird situation. So anyway,
Yeah.
okay. Well, thank you everybody for joining us today.
Yeah, thank you so much, Glenn. And we look forward to your next project, your next book. And I'm real excited about the YouTube channel as well.
Thank you, Tami and Tom. I enjoyed it.
Yeah. And if you have any questions about that, you know that you can contact us and we
I
can
will.
help you about getting it set up and so
Yeah.
forth. We're here for you.
If you want to sign off on your end, then we'll go ahead and wrap up things here on our end.
So thank you so much. Tell Joanna we said hi and we look
Okay.
forward to hearing from you again.
Thank you for everything. Bye-bye.
You're welcome.
Bye-bye.
It's our pleasure. Bye-bye.
Okay,
right.
there we are. Oh, we're on that camera. Okay.
We're on this one, yes.
Is there any, right now, we are not sure if we're on air next week. Is that what I recall?
Well, it's a holiday weekend.
It's a holiday weekend.
It is Labor Day weekend, and we may be busy with family.
Yeah.
So I'm kind of thinking that we won't be on. What do you
Okay.
think?
That's what I thought.
We'll know
So-
as the week goes on, and we can make an
Yeah,
announcement.
there might be a Saturday Amazon program or something on the other platform, but we haven't scheduled anything.
We haven't
just yet.
scheduled, right, we haven't scheduled anything for next week just yet.
Yeah.
We think we might be busy with family, but we don't know yet.
Yeah,
So
we're waiting for our daughter and son-in-law to come up with a schedule. We're helping watch grandchildren while they're executing a move from one house to another. So that's a big project, but we don't know the exact timing of that at this point in time.
Yeah.
So
All right.
So we're waiting to get that sorted out. What else do we need to cover? There will be, watch your emails. I'm going to have another announcement coming to you first thing tomorrow morning via email. Can't say what it is today, but you will get one more email from me tomorrow. And there's a couple of extra bits of information on the newsletter I sent out yesterday afternoon late instead of waiting till today. So if you missed that email, you can go back and catch that. There's some stuff in the body of that email that some reminders and some things of interest and some recipe information.
yeah,
So for those of you that haven't looked at Tami's new ranch dressing, it's proving to make quite a splash.
we're getting lots of positive feedback. So somebody sent me a picture of their bottle of ranch, and they posted it on Facebook and said that their husband, who loves ranch dressing, threw away the store-bought
Bought
one
ranch.
after tasting ours. And so I was very excited about that because you guys, I worked really, really hard on trying to create a really wonderful ranch dressing.
So now you can have a chopped salad, douse it in some healthy, non-fat, no oil, no salt, no nuts, ranch dressing
that just really tastes great.
It's going to make you taste like you're being completely decadent, but you come away feeling well.
Yeah, it's made you really like your salads even more, hasn't
Yeah,
it?
she told me at lunch today, Tom, you can't have ranch dressing every day. I can't make this all the time.
I told you I will teach you how to make it. So, well, you have a video, honey. You got a video you can watch.
She had me make the cheese sauce one time, the Chipotle nacho cheese sauce, which was another, pretty popular recipe on the Nutmeg Notebook YouTube channel and on the blog. But somehow, I don't know what transition happened, but suddenly then that became my job every week during batch cooking was to make the cheese sauce.
But you haven't made it for quite some time. I've been making it lately.
I've been busy with projects.
So you don't have anything to whine about, right?
No.
No, because I've been making it for you.
Okay. No, I'll try some vinegars on my salad. I've just been on a little ranch kick.
Yeah, well, it's been so hot here that the cold
salads
salads
are good.
with the cold ranch dressing
Yeah.
and just keeping everything cold instead of heating up your
Instead
toppings.
instead of my traditional hot Mexican salad.
Yeah, just
So-
because it's been so hot here. So
Okay.
also earlier today, we did our batch cooking impromptu video, and we were on for how long?
3 hours and 20 minutes. There's a big fat YouTube video from this morning. If you want to batch cook with Demi, you can now. For a long time, we batch cooked a lot of stuff. Like we did get the dishes all. The kitchen's actually cleaned up.
Yes, I
So-
finished those while you were taking your afternoon siesta.
Recharging my battery.
Yeah, recharging your
minutes.
battery.
Yeah.
So, so anyway, that was really fun, and thank you to everyone who joined us for that. It was too hot and
Yeah,
smoky.
some of these folks pretty much spent the day
with us. It was
Yeah.
too hot and smoky for us to go for our Sunday morning walk. And so while I was in the shower, I said to Tom, hey, I had this idea while I was in the shower that I have to do batch cooking. Why don't we just do a YouTube live and invite people to join us? And so that's what we did. And it was fun. So you guys got to see my kitchen get all messy and dirty, and you got to see everything that, who said that?
Randy says I hijacked your phone. I watched the texts for her when we're on air. That's true.
That's
So
true.
yes, this is Tammy's phone. My phone, actually, you guys are in my phone. My phone is serving as
As a
the
camera.
as the Tom and Tammy cam right now. And then Tammy, of course, has the main camera on her. so-
Anyway, so that was really fun. So if you're curious about how batch cooking looks, and today was kind of an unusual day because our ovens are broke. My double ovens,
it was
wall
kind of mini, it
ovens.
was mini batch cooking.
And so, and we didn't do salads today. So it was just kind of an odd
Mhm.
day for batch
Well,
prepping.
we might try that again sometime.
Yeah, yeah,
So-
we'll try to do it again when we do salads, because I've changed up the way I'm doing salads. So I've eliminated the romaine, and I'm buying a pre-washed organic arugula, and that makes it go even
Yeah,
faster.
Cheryl said she liked watching the batch segment.
Thank you.
And
Thank you
Misty
for
Blue,
watching.
Misty Blue is here again, and she enjoyed the live as well. So-
Yeah, so it was really fun, you guys.
Oh, what was the email to send the receipt to, Misty Blue? It's in the show notes. So just click on show more, either on your phone or on your computer. And
I can tell them. It's Food is Climate,
yeah,
the name of the book, Food is Climate @gmail.com.
there you go.
And in the subject line, put Tammy, and then give them a copy of your receipt from Amazon, and you will get the 25 bonus recipes.
Yeah, and at the very top of our show notes is the direct link to our Amazon store to pick up the book. So that's all
Yeah.
there for you.
So anything else that we have coming up? I
Um,
can't think of anything.
You know, just a shout out
I feel
for,
like I've been talking all day.
yeah, a shout out for you know, it's not in the show notes. Healthscience.org, the Health Science magazine, the summer issue. I think you can still get a hard copy if you
Do
sign.
you? You can still get a hard copy?
Mark hasn't told me no.
Oh, okay.
He's gonna shut me
Mark,
down.
Wanda, if you're,
Mark, Wanda.
if you're listening.
Yeah, if there's still copies of healthscience.org, the summer copy, you can get that back issue by signing up now to healthscience.org/join. And then put Tammy Nutmeg Notebook summer copy or something in the notes section. And then Mark will make sure you get that copy of the magazine. And then if it's not happening anymore, then they'll let me know. So,
That works.
okay.
I
All
like
right.
that.
Okay, I think we're done.
I think so.
Uh,
And
watch-
will
watch
you
your
check-
emails.
Will you check and make sure
Okay.
somebody doesn't have any comments? I know somebody was asking, somebody emailed and I didn't have time to answer back about where to buy the book. And if you would use our Amazon link, we really appreciate that. And the Amazon link and the link to the book is in the show notes. And what else? I don't know.
Yeah, our morning people were all saying that this morning was fun. There's a bunch of morning people. here.
Good, good.
So,
So
and-
hopefully, depending on how the smoke is, the air quality was really bad this morning. So hopefully next Sunday, we can do the Facebook walk and talk where we go live and while we're walking our 4-mile walk outside. But it's just all going to depend on the air quality because it's been really bad here. I've been going very early in the morning and being able to miss it most mornings. But this morning it was just too bad. It was too smoky. Even with a mask, it just wasn't safe and healthy to get out there. So,
Okay.
all right. Well,
All right.
we're going to break it down and grab some dinner. And
The studio. We're not going to do breakdown dancing. We're going to break down all the studio. We're going to break down.
we're going to break it down.
That's a song. Okay.
Well, we call it breakdown. Let's break down. Let's put everything away.
Okay.
But it works out good to do to do like the lives all in one day, because we have this all set up.
Yes. Yes.
And it worked out.
Whether it's an Amazon Live and then a YouTube Live or what. So,
Yeah.
okay.
Okay. So I'm Tami.
And I'm Tom.
And we help you get healthy and stay healthy.
One meal at a time. Thank you, moderators. Thank you, everybody, for being here. Thank you, Linda, for being here.
And yes, and thank you, Tiffany, for a fantastic recipe. These are delicious.
Okay. Bye-bye.
Love you guys. Bye-bye.